everybody. Welcome to a brand new Coronation Overreaction live on the Coronation Facebook, YouTube, and X channels. I'm your regular host, Greg Mahochko, but as you may notice, that is not Haas or Jake. No, they are off on a family function, and they didn't tell me until middle of the week, Thursday, something like that. So as I put in the description, if you read the description, you'll have picked up on this. Different sports analogy, made a call to the bullpen and bringing in my good buddy and Coronation writer extraordinaire, Nate McHugh. Nate, how are you tonight, sir?
I am glad to be here. I wasn't sure it was going to happen earlier today. We have, I have at least one sick kid, and then I was up late last night watching Bud Crawford.
Mm-hmm.
And that's a whole other, why those fights have to be so late. I have no idea. And I just know I just can't do that anymore because I was so tired this morning. And then we got home from church today and my wife goes, "So what do you want to do today?" And I said, "Nothing." And I said, "I want to take a nap." Well, yesterday it was crazy the whole day. But I took a 3.5 hour nap, which is twice as long as probably usually would be. And I woke up and I was still just exhausted. I just can't do it anymore.
Yeah, so Saturday morning, 3 a.m, I get woken up. My oldest comes in the room in my bedroom. He's like, I threw up. Where? In my bedroom floor and in the hallway floor and a little in the bathroom floor. I'm like, okay. So did what cleaning I could do for that, in the middle of the night, and of course finished the rest of it yesterday morning. But he was feeling like wiped out all yesterday. He laid down, closed his eyes on the couch, even before. I remember we were watching the Super Mario Brothers movie. And he's seen it, I don't know how many times, but the movie ended. I put his brothers to bed, the twins, and, I jumped in the shower, come out. He's still out. So, all right, well, I'm going to turn on Netflix myself and turn on the fights and see. And I was in that co-main event. I was about 5th round out of 10, and I was out in my chair and woke up. They were doing the post-game Bud Crawford stuff, like, crap. So I missed the whole fight. And at this point, it's well after 1 o'clock, He's still out on the couch. I said, I'm just going to leave him there. And I went to bed. And at some point, he went to bed too, I guess. He's like, I woke up. Nobody was there. He's like, maybe he thought he took a nap on the bed or on the couch. And that's why he couldn't sleep so well in bed. I was like, nobody. I said, you were out. You were OUT out on the couch. So. But everybody's back to their usual honorary selves today, myself included. And, of course, had the opportunity to watch the game yesterday. Didn't let, his sickness to take away from that. I don't know. That sounds probably worse than I mean it. But he wasn't putting up a fight. We watched the football game yesterday, and Nebraska comes away with a big 59-7 win over Houston Christian. Now, Nate, how many Houston Christian football games have you watched in your life?
Well, the answer would be 0, unless we've played them before, which I don't think we have. So, yeah. But all I knew is going into this game was that I think that Sagarin ratings, which ranks everybody from 1 to whatever the highest is, 140 or whatever.
2 something when you
the 200, yeah.
Yes.
And I think they said Akron, and if you're probably going to check it for me, but I think it said Akron was rated like 119th, and Houston Christian was ranked 125th or 130th. So it's like, this is probably going to be worse than, the Akron game. I'm not good for us, good for Nebraska.
Right.
But I said it's probably going to be not It won't be competitive at all. And it was so, I don't know if I've ever, I'm sure someone could correct me. I don't know if I've ever seen a college football game where the starters didn't at least play one possession in the second half. He started the twos right away.
Right.
And
So I wasn't looking at the FBS FCS combined rankings. I was looking to see, because I had heard, and I wanted to verify if it was true, Houston Christian, or as Charles Hillette says, they used to be named Houston Baptist University. They've only been playing football since 2013. So not a very rich tradition, but I'm sure they got a nice payday to come up to Lincoln. So good for them, I suppose. But yeah, so it's I wasn't surprised. I think, if anything, I was probably glad that the twos were in at the start of the second half. Although I said yesterday when I did a quick post-game reaction with Minnie and Fred, I said my only concern is I wish the Cincinnati game would have been the week 3 game, and we would have built up to a quality opponent, and having our number ones, our starters, have to play 4 quarters. It's been a few weeks now since they've had to do that. But other than that, I think we could have padded the stats a little bit more, kind of like we did against Akron, if the starters would have stayed in, for half of the third quarter like they did against Akron. But we got out of there relatively healthy, and a nice win, doing the things that we were supposed to do. I have no complaints.
No, whenever people want to point out, our last 2 opponents and how poor they are, I mean, that's true. I shouldn't say poor, but compared to Nebraska, the amount of the assets.
Not a Big Ten caliber.
Yeah, and it's the revenue. I mean, they're like 2 different sports almost. But I would venture to say that, a few of our former coaches, if we would have played Houston Christian, we probably win, but it's probably like 35-10, right? Or 28-14.
Yeah, a bit more of a nail
some
biter.
of those games, right?
Kaylee Bartles just says that we paid him $500,000. So, which is not bad, because other, Power 4 conference schools were paying $500,000, $1 million, $1.5 million to a lesser team and losing. So, Nebraska didn't have to worry about that.
And they look like it wasn't even like a. I know. I guess I'm just what gives me confidence in this team is it looks different, right? Like, they look like they're well coached, like the standard's high and it's set high, and that they're trying to meet the standard. Where it just seems like in the past you just didn't get that feeling. You're kind of just like waiting for, maybe for Adrian Martinez to like make a big play, or something like that. But against Akron, where we fumbled at the goal line and then we got stopped on 4th down. There wasn't and I wrote this, there wasn't a moment that I was nervous, because I was just like, yeah, they'll win by a lot. And they did, right? And if that was probably a Scott Frost coach team, I'd be like, oh crap, here we go, right? So it's like one of those demons that I think that Matt Rule is exercising, right? It's like we are learning to dominate teams that we should dominate, and hopefully that sets us up for this coming week.
Well, that's why I was so glad to see, going back to the Akron game, that, and we didn't see this halftime speech video until Tuesday, I think. But when Rule was clearly disappointed in what he was seeing. They went in the locker room up 33-0, but he's like, this is ridiculous. He said, I don't care what the score is, it's about what you're showing me on film. That to me indicates that the scoreboard is not the telling tale. if guys are missing their assignments or, they're for lack of a better term, half-assing it because, they're up big, he may sound like he's going to hold them accountable. He's going to pull them out. And, as he says, like, if you're not, getting after the quarterback, we're going to find somebody who will. Houston Christian was, I think, I don't want to say a different beast, but again, what do you know about an FCS team that is 1-1? They had beaten a team by a score of 69-0, I think, in week 1. But again, they're playing a lower quality opponent. I just think that, with a few exceptions, in the last 2 weeks, the Huskers have played pretty flawless football. They haven't had to punt at all. They have been putting everything in the end zone through the uprights, or again with James is quick to note 2 weeks in a row that the offense got stoned by inferior teams at the goal line. We've had to settle a little bit. I don't like that. We can't afford to not punch those in against the Michigan States, and going forward in the Big Ten schedule.
No, it's true. And I would say that it'd be nice to have our $1 million left tackle in there, because I have no idea what's going on behind the scenes, but there's obviously a reason he's not playing. And,
behind the scenes, between the ears. Yeah.
Because I think maybe that would help us in those goal line situations, but it seems like they have to get a little more creative around the goal line, or they have had to, because probably they're not getting the push that they want, or that.
Well, and I'll say that going back to the Cincinnati game, when we had him in at the goal line and he had a false start penalty, so that sometimes feel like you're damned if you do and damned if you don't, to quote my mom. Not that my mom sits and watches a lot of Husker football, but that's just, in life, you're damned if you do, damned if you don't. I do want to talk a little bit about the overview of the game. So last week, Nebraska had, I think, 740-ish yards, something like that. This week, yesterday, settled for 554 yards on 67 offensive plays. This is a good average yard per play of 8.27. Meanwhile, the defense doing, again, what you expect them to do against a team like Houston Christian. Held them to 160 yards on 53 plays, or a 3.02 yards per play average. Honestly, that feels a little high. You're getting into the Michigan, this coming Saturday already. And you have to get, I think, more plays. The defensive line and the linebackers, and I'll credit John Butler, but, we need to see more backfield penetration. We need to see more TFLs. Like, we need to get some more sacks. We need to do something, because we're not as big up front on the defensive side as we were last year with Ty and Nash. So we need to, utilize some speed. We need to get into the backfield more, be more disruptive. Because, again, Michigan is not Houston Christian.
Yeah, I guess you're just kind of hoping that they're holding something back. Maybe it's stunts, maybe it's alignments defensively for the Michigan game, But I think going into the season, we also knew when you lose Ty Robinson and the polar bear, we would have to have been somewhat, unrealistic to expect Riley Van Poppel to step in right away, and because he's a sophomore, right? Or is he a junior already? But anyways,
I think so. I don't know.
Yeah, well, I know that they only played him enough. I think they redshirted him last year. But anyways, so I think, we have to kind of go into the season knowing that. Now, where can they go from here? That's a good question. And that's like, That's what happens when you play these redshirt sophomore. There you go.
I
That's
knew
what
somebody.
happens when you play these kind of the soft schedule, with the exception of Cincinnati, right? Is that it's kind of hard to figure out what you got.
Mhm.
Cincinnati, the game at Arrowhead, it was kind of both teams are trying to figure out football. It seemed like to me, they were just like, you're just filling each other out while at the same time trying to win a football game, and it's kind of hard to know what you have. Now, when we go up against Michigan, then we're going to find out, right? And then all of a sudden, if you're not getting any push against, on the goal line, then it's like, okay, this is going to be a problem all year. And so, let's see where you go from there. It's not like they're not trying. Some of their alignments, they have the three that they bring in Riley Van Poppel and kind of doing what they did with Ty Robinson last year on the goal line, but it's just not, and they tried the tush push, and so.
Yeah, I know one of those defensive big bodies that they've used in the offensive backfield is Elijah Judy, in that kind of fullback spot. So I know we're kind of talking a little bit about the defensive line, kind of going back and forth the line of scrimmage, because Wade says, is Nebraska's goal line problem from a coach call or line not moving guys? I think there's just I don't want to say it's a lack of focus. I don't think it's a coaching thing. By that, I mean, other times I feel like the offensive line is really moving guys for whatever reason. Maybe it's there's only so many plays you can call down at like the 1 or 2, yard line. All the defenders are in a condensed area. It might just be that might be our weak spot on the offensive line is those goal line moments. Now, I think there's a way to overcome that, and that's running more counters and not trying to run right between the tackles or riding that A gap. But for whatever reason, the defenders have had those marked, and Nebraska has struggled at times to finish off some of those drives.
If they find other ways to score on the goal line, like maybe it's a wide receiver screen, like I'm talking about spreading the defense out, and if they're successful doing that, then all of a sudden I think running on the goal line is going to be a lot easier. But then it's like, if you try that and you fail, like trying to do something a little, like I said, the wide receiver screen, like a tunnel screen or something, then people are like, why don't you just run the ball, right? Well, it's like, well, we're trying to make this or try to be a little unpredictable maybe,
Right.
But it'd be nice to just say, all right, I formation, it's coming, and we're going to score anyways type of thing. That'd be nice. But, that's just, we're not there yet.
The chat has welcomed in the Monday night host and the co-host of the 5-part podcast, Minnie Hunt, who's here. And Aaron Keene says, "Oh, hey, Minnie, I saw that PJ and Minnesota lost to Cal. Was about to call the cops for a wellness check." And Minnie responded, "PJ lost to Cal. Pathetic. Will he get fired next?" So we know that Foster's out at UCLA. I think, the head coach is out at the Bears, but that's the NFL. That's not quite the same. Is 2 games in? Let's talk about the Bears for a minute. Are you a Bears fan? I know you're a Cubs fan.
Wait. Are you talking about the Chicago Bears or the Bruins?
Chicago Bears.
Okay. Yes, I am a Bears fan.
That's what I thought.
Yeah.
Is 2 weeks into the season too early to be firing a head coach, or do you just see the writing on the wall?
Oh, I'm so out on Caleb Williams. I've been out since the video of the preseason video of they're throwing balls into the net with kind of the targets, and he couldn't do it, and he walked away like he was throwing a tantrum, and I already wasn't like a believer. And when I saw that, I'm like, I just don't think he's it. Like I don't see it at all. And then today, they just got boat raced by the head coach's former team, right? And so there might have been a little bit of motivation there. for the Lions. You know, you're saying like you left us maybe, but to fire a coach, no, definitely not. To get rid of the quarterback, I would really think about it. So, like, he doesn't run Ben's stuff. He tries to scramble way too much, and he's not accurate. Like, I mean, yeah, he's one of those guys that has a great arm talent, but I don't think he runs the system like he wants. And then their backup, Tyler Bargett. I'm gonna get that wrong. Sorry. But well, just watching him, it's like he like runs the system, right? And so, but you got to play Caleb, give him a chance, because if
you paid all that money for him,
yeah. And it's crazy though, is that when you hear that they essentially like just when they're going to draft him, right? But like the draft process, they didn't bring in almost any other quarterbacks except for him. And then, so it's like, they already had their mindset, and they missed out on the Washington Commanders quarterback, probably a future Hall of Famer. So, and, it's just like,
part of that sounds like sour grapes.
Yeah. I am not a believer. So,
let's jump back to the Huskers, because Highlander Gunn said a few moments ago, I like the whole win, not lose thing that Nebraska have been doing. And that's not how you highlight a comment. Minnie was in full agreement with that. So true, Highlander. Young Farmer 5 says, a little nervous to play Michigan because it's Nebraska, and knowing us, we'll do something stupid, but so far it looks good. Okay, by the way, not entirely sure that Young Farmer 5 isn't my nephew, because I feel like my nephew would also have a John Deere tractor in his photo. But I know he doesn't care about watching Uncle Greg on YouTube videos. I do feel like, and again, small sample size, it's crazy to think that we're already a quarter of the way through the regular season. And I always say something stupid like that 3 games in, because we wait all these months for football and we're a quarter of the way through the season again. Limited sample size notwithstanding, I do think that this Nebraska team with these coaches, these players, are really limiting the self-sabotaging mistakes.
Yeah, I would say there's nothing that I've seen that would think that we're going to do something stupid. Now, it doesn't mean we're not going to fumble the ball or throw an interception, but there's nothing that I've seen that would make me think that, it's not. I mean, should we expect a win? We probably should. I don't know if Michigan's as good as everyone might have thought they were going to be, but are we going to do something stupid? Every time I say no, and then the week shows up or the game shows up, and then we, I don't know, fumble a kickoff, return and or something like that, and then we look, egg on our face type of thing. So, there's nothing I've seen that would make me think that that's going to happen.
Well, let's talk about fumbles that go the other way. Yesterday, Riley Van Poppel poked the ball free from the Houston Christian quarterback. It was picked up by Williams Nwaneri and ran back for another defensive score. When you think about that, 2 defensive scores in back-to-back games, if you consider the safety from last week against Akron. And I didn't mind any of it, but as I said again yesterday on the stream, Williams Nwaneri looks like he had never picked up a forced fumble and ran back to the end zone, because he was, I don't have a football down here, but he was holding it just kind of like this and not running quite as fast as, I would hope to see, a rush end, a former 5-star out of high school. I made the comparison, and Fred was there and he was able to help me out. It looked like Don Beebe almost running down Leon Lett.
Mm-hmm. That's an old reference.
Well, I'm an old guy. Aaron Rostovsky says, I didn't watch the second half yet. No spoilers. I don't know how to tell you this one, buddy. Nebraska won.
Nebraska did win.
No,
I'll say.
Score?
Oh yeah. Don't say the final score. Yeah.
Oh.
No, I'll say that on that fumble return by Nweri, I'm like, you don't look. Supposedly he's one of the best athletes on the team, right? And he kind of, but maybe just like there's something about like he doesn't. Yeah, it kind of looked like he was like finding his legs type of thing when he was running. Yeah, he is also what 6'7", like 260 or something like that, and so maybe I should give him a little bit of a, if I tried doing that, I probably would fall down, So.
I mean, I said it on the show here a few weeks back. Part of the reason why I probably messed up my back is apparently I can't run and kick a soccer ball at the same time anymore without falling. So, but yeah, at times on that run back, he did look like a baby giraffe, just trying to.
Then he didn't, and I even noticed right away he didn't do the 5 points or whatever that they talk about. And I'm like, I bet you that it's gonna piss off Rule. And then he even mentioned it after the game. And I think it's kind of shows you because there are some players that would be like, come on, coach. Like, I just scored a touchdown, a defensive touchdown. Yeah, I understand. I forgot to do this, but come on, give me a break. And he's like, no. Right. And I think that's a good thing. So, I've never heard of this 5 points thing until Rule got here. As far as as far as having every single player when they cross the line,
be able to.
Yeah, I don't know if I see that anybody else doing that, but I should probably pay attention.
I've got to look here. I think that at one point we had a 5 points of contact show. They're very short-lived, apparently, but I know that I feel like it was a thing. Minnie wants to know who would run faster, me or Williams Nwaneri, and I believe the answer to that is the former 5-star defensive end, Williams Nwaneri. I also can say with full certainty that I still have all my college athletic eligibility remaining if we ever needed to throw an old fat guy out there just for fun, just for sympathy. So,
can I say something quick?
Oh, please.
Yeah, so I saw someone in the comments, or a couple people, and mentioned TJ Lateef, our backup quarterback. This is my prediction. He won't be here next year. He's gonna.
I don't know if it was you or somebody else in the Slack chat that said made a similar comment, and that is concerning. So James said this when we were talking about goal line opportunities. Says put in TJ and present the defense with the threat of a mobile quarterback at the goal line. And I believe it was just a moment ago, Braska Rascal said that TJ throws a great deep ball. Still waiting to see Dylan throw a 60-yard pass. Now, I was about ready to chew Dylan out on that pass. He just underthrew Dane Key, but then you look and he was throwing into the wind and the ball was affected by it. But TJ threw a nice tight spiral on his touchdown to Cortez Mills Jr., 62-yarder. I believe I can understand where you're coming from with the, TJ won't be here next year. That being said, and never mind me says he won't be here next year. Too talented to be a backup. You gotta wonder, and this is what got him to Lincoln in the first place. You know what I mean? Like if he knew that he was a year behind a 5-star generational quarterback, why did he choose Nebraska over teams that clearly need a quarterback as well, especially some that are a lot closer to home? So there's something else there. I'm willing to give TJ, through 2 games of actually seeing him, I'm willing to give him the benefit of the doubt and give him time and hope that he does in fact stay with us and we see him in a Husker uniform on the, again this time next year. So. Are you Carol Burnetting saying goodnight to your mom or something there? I think we just lost Nate. Technical difficulties. All right. We're going to let Nate figure out his technical difficulties. And we'll keep it right here through this commercial break. Let's see. Vince, what did Vince say? Vince wants me to start practicing long snapping. That's not going to work. Minnie's very accurate. I cannot I go to a chiropractor twice a week. I don't think that long snapping is in my future. I don't think it's in my back's future. I appreciate, Vince, the confidence that you have in me. James remarks that Dylan had more height on his long ball. TJ threw a lower arching, more of a line drive ball. And, again, differences. I am really excited to see, again, hopefully TJ Lateef is still a Husker this time next year, because then you'll have the Raiola show, Dylan and Dayton. And welcome back.
Thank you.
Did you get your technical difficulty sorted?
Yeah, I'm using my hotspot now.
Oh, good. Thank you, Pitt. 25 Pitt points to me for my Carol Burnett reference when you were pulling your ear. Did you ever watch the Carol Burnett show? Or are you too young for that?
I can picture it. I've never seen it.
It's where the show Mama's Family originated, if you remember Mama's Family.
Okay. I grew up with 5 channels, so I don't even know if it was on one of those channels or not.
Oh no, it totally was. It was on. It was primetime television on network TV. But it used to go.
Just missed it then.
Carol Burnett used to, at the end of the show, like give her ear a little tug, and that was her secret way of telling her mom that that she loved her, rather than just say "Love you, Mom" every episode. So, let's see. Aaron says, I think if Dylan keeps ascending, good enough to leave early, TJ will stick around for 2027. When Trey beats him out in 2027, then he will transfer. So,
when I watched TJ Lateef, a few things are, first, we saw him against Akron and Houston Christian, right? We didn't see him against Cincinnati. And so we kind of got to maybe bring it down a little bit, but he just looks like a really good quarterback. And I think he looks like the best quarterback. If you take Dylan out, just take him out of the conversation.
Right, remove him from the conversation, yes.
Yeah, that he looks like.
Take him out at the knees.
Yeah. Just the eye test, I think he looks like the best quarterback we've had since Adrian Martinez. Who's better?
Did you just go all the way back to Adrian Martinez?
Yeah.
I think you probably, if you want, again, limited sample size. I'm going to be using that.
Yes, but I'm talking about just the eye test again.
Right.
And now you see him more, then, if we get to see him more, then we'll know better. But, okay, the quarterback play here has not been great.
No.
So
this is where I'm probably going to lose some people. I liked Tommy Armstrong more than Adrian Martinez.
Tommy was before Adrian.
I know.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Well, I'm saying since Adrian Martinez, probably, if we went down the list, there probably aren't that many. But
no, because you got Jeff Sims. Realistically, you had Casey Thompson. Since Adrian Martinez, you had Casey Thompson, Jeff Sims, Heinrich Harburg, Chuba Purdy, Dylan Raiola.
Yeah. So I guess that's not saying that much. And I kind of forgot about what's his name from Texas. So
Casey Thompson.
Yeah, Casey Thompson.
And Heinrich Harburg's probably honestly the best quarterback out of all of them. So
that's why he's playing tight end.
Sometimes you gotta lower your own shine so that others can shine bright. I don't know.
Yeah.
Gary Pierce says all the pro scouts love Dylan. Maybe he'll leave first. Who knows these days?
Well, he can't leave until after next year. So
right.
And I expect him that, he'll go to the NFL after next year.
James Boardman also thinks that 1890 initiative will match any offer to keep TJ. It'll be up to him if he wants to stay and start in 2027.
I don't know. I could see if he wants to go start next year. I want to keep him around. Obviously, I'm not saying I want him to leave. I'm just.
Can I ask a ridiculous question, Nate, that I know is ridiculous?
Sure.
Is it possible that you're watching this show and commenting on the show and being on the show all at the same time? Because Nate McHugh says, shout out to Nate, heart and kissy face. Is it possible that your wife is watching?
Oh, yeah, and she signed in on our YouTube. Yeah, that'd be her. Yeah, nice.
Hi, Nate's wife. Good to have you around. Minnie's here for two reasons: to talk about Greg and my bad back and my bad knees and my overall out of shapeness, and the MASH references. It is so.
MASH was a good show.
It was a good show. Let's see. Yeah, we weren't going back that far, Fred. I apologize. Joe Gantz, Zach Taylor is also a really good one.
Yeah, I'm just saying back to Adrian, before that we had better quarterbacks for sure.
Right. And Stephen Fromm says people can hate on Adrian Martinez all they like, but look at the O-line Adrian played with. He had to play hurt all the time. That's true. He also had a head coach that didn't do him any favors, honestly. And the problem with the biggest issue with Adrian is that his wagon was hitched to Scott Frost. And it was never going to truly excel. All right, let's talk a little bit more about yesterday's game. Speaking of passing, Dylan Raiola went 15 of 21 for 2 touchdowns. TJ Lateef was 5 for 5 with a touchdown. Jalen Gramstead 3 for 3. Quentin Ives was the leading rusher for Nebraska, oddly enough, 85 yards on 12 carries. Emmett Johnson, 78 yards on 13 carries. EJ had 2 touchdowns. Quentin Ives had 1. TJ Lateef had a running score. And I cannot believe, in all honesty, that it took this long, but Ja'Cory Barney Jr. has his first touchdown as a Husker, and it was yesterday against Houston. That was honestly, Nate, when I heard that statistic, I was shocked by that. As well as he played last year, never found the pay dirt. In a 70-0 game, or I'm sorry, 68-0 game last week, didn't hit pay dirt.
But we also didn't score a lot last year.
That's true.
So, I did not know that.
Let's see. Gargamel, jumping back to quarterback, says TJ is best friends and roommate with Cortez Mills, so doubt he's going anywhere. It's true. There's something magical about when a wide receiver and a roommate, or and a quarterback are roommates, going all the way back to Armstrong and Westerkamp. Did you know that they were roommates, Nate?
Yes, it was mentioned once or twice every time they were on TV. Right?
Every time.
Well, Dane Key and Dylan Raiola are roommates.
It's true. It's damn true. And yes, I didn't see it live. I saw the clip of it. James Boardman says, "Did you see Holgerson running down the sideline to give Barney a big hug after the touchdown?" Guys, if your boss isn't running down the parking lot to chase you and tackle you after you do something right on the job, get a new job. Find you a boss that wants to tackle you the way that Holgerson tackled Ja'Cory Barney yesterday. Let's see. Defensively, we talked about the number of yards that We held him to 160 yards. I would have never guessed that Rex Guthrie would have been our leading tackler with 6 tackles. Andrew Marshall had 5. Donovan Jones, the newest black shirt, had 4. So did Dawson Merritt. Good to see that young man getting some quality playing time. Jameer Khan, Marquise Watson-Trent finally starting to make a name for himself with 3 tackles. Michael Booker III, Caleb Benning, Jeremiah Charles. I mean, a lot of young guys played yesterday. And that's, I mean, I say that, but most of Nebraska's roster is freshmen, sophomores, you know. I think maybe the position group that is outside of that aspect would be the defensive backs, who are, you know, led by, I think, 6-year man Marquise Buford Jr. We have a little bit of veteran leadership on the offensive line, but we are still a very young team. And if we can host Michigan and send them home unhappy, that is not just a bright spot for 2025, but for 2026 and 2027, because I'm a big believer in the most important game is the next game, and it's safe to say that this next game is pretty important.
Yeah, I've heard, you know, people you respect. I've heard a few of them say that while we could be pretty good this year, maybe, you know, we'll see. But it's actually next year where things are lining up to be probably a possibly really good team. And a lot of that has to do with a lot of that youth, you know, coming up. And one thing I kind of like that the staff does, and they do it on defense a lot, is they play a lot of guys. And I guess that's what kind of pushes, you know, it depends on who the player is, but some players, you know, want to get more snaps, but Nebraska, I think that's part of Jamari Butler, you know, probably wanted to play more snaps. And so he's like, see you later. And, but like Rex Guthrie, he's what gives, it's players like him, which give me a lot of faith in this coaching staff to find talent. I mean, he was he's a 3-star from Colorado, and I mean, he looks really good. So, and he's playing right away. And there's a list, and I think I could find it if I need to. But the amount of like first-year players that are playing on this team this year, I think there's like 5 or 6, and like that's pretty good. Just being able to find guys, you know, or the Merritt kid, he might be special. Like he can come up and hit somebody. And so how they find them, I mean, they obviously know what they're doing. So that kind of gives me hope, you know, going forward.
And you know, we talked so much about him last week. And of course, I'm not going to spell his name right. But the kid who had the safety last week against Akron, Cade Pachek, something like that, didn't even record a tackle yesterday. So that's how I think. I don't want to be too high about it, but that's like how fortunate we are. We have a lot of depth. A lot of guys can come in and make some things happen. So you mentioned Dawson Merritt. I mean, it was great to see him on the field because we had been hearing. I mean, I think he was a bit of a steal from Alabama, for the state, not necessarily the school. But you know, we've been hearing about what he could do. It was great to see him out there actually, you know, making contact, putting hits on the quarterback, and being among the team's leaders in tackles. But I don't know. It's just again, good overall win. Still, you know, I think we mentioned that another game without punting, and someone actually did the looking. Charles Hewlett says the last time Nebraska did not punt in 2 consecutive games was September of 1995. So it's been 30 years, Nate. Well, you were just a wee little baby Husker fan.
That's probably at that game. At least 95. I might have been at that game.
Maybe.
I went to just about every game I could back then. Anyway, so but I was looking at this recruiting class. So these are true freshmen, and so I'll just name a few of the ones that we've already been seeing. So we got Cade, like we were just talking about, 3-star from North Dakota, and you were seeing TJ Lateef, Isaiah Mosey, that's the kid from Missouri, Jeremiah Jones, I've been seeing him. And then you have Cortez Mills and Dawson Merritt from Kansas. So, like, these are kids that were playing high school football last year, and they're like, again, you got to think about our competition, right? But like Dawson Merritt's probably going to be playing a lot against, Michigan,
Mm-hmm.
And so
Ostofsky says that we did flip Merritt from Alabama, and that was Papa Mosey's hard work. So
there you go.
Let's see.
Christian Jones, there you go, Aaron.
Pitt says our starting quarterback had a 75% plus completions, and our two backups percentage is even higher than that. And not only that, but Dylan's putting the ball on the money most of the time. Like he's putting it through the eye of the needle, so to speak, right through the defenders. And I've been saying I've been very pleased with when I watch him play. He's either putting it to where his receiver can get to it, or by and large, he's putting it where nobody can get to it. There are a few close calls. I think one in the Cincinnati game that was, a mental error or a mechanics error. But other than that, there haven't really been many close calls. Knock on wood that it stays like that, because again, you're going up against Michigan, and it's a higher caliber, quality opponent. Let's see. Stephen Fromm says Nebraska needs to figure out how to reload the defense every year like Iowa is able to do somehow. Let's not start making Nebraska-Iowa comparisons just yet. We're not scraping that bottom of that particular barrel, Stephen. And we're starting to get into Michigan talk. Again, Stephen says hopefully the Nebraska football fans come in on Saturday and give Michigan what Colorado got last year. I think there's less hatred for Michigan, but there's just as much importance to, as they say, wear red and be loud. The stadium needs to be rocking. It's a 2:30 kickoff, I believe, which is, I think, my least favorite kickoff time. Not that it's up to me. Les Austin Jr. is a Michigan guy looking forward to the game on Saturday. He says, go blue. Welcome to this Nebraska corner of YouTube. And then perpetually indignant, a.k.a. Aaron Keene, says, I think Michigan isn't as good as touted, but might still be better than us. We still don't know 100% what we are just yet. Michigan game is a big litmus test. And let's see, to that point, Les says, the big game for both programs, Michigan was too vanilla on offense against Oklahoma, but now the coaches will let Underwood be the best player on the field. Do you think that Bryce Underwood's going to be the best player on the field on Saturday, Nate?
His ability to run the ball might be a real problem for us. Against Cincinnati, is Sarsby or whatever.
Yeah,
I'm terrible with names.
Brendan Sorsby.
Yeah. He had 80 yards rushing?
Yeah, something like that. A lot of them were not necessarily designed runs. They were, last gasp outlet, quarterback leaks.
Yeah, so I don't know if Butler maybe didn't have a game plan for that, but I assume they're going to be ready for it. But I mean, he's a 5-star quarterback that probably won't. I guess it'll be a battle of the 5-star quarterbacks, right? Mm-hmm. And two different types of quarterbacks, but I just it seems like in some of these big games we get and I can't point to any of them, but it's like we get to 3rd and long, right? And the crowd's going nuts, and we somehow lose the quarterback, and he runs for 15 yards to get a first down. that's kind of the picture I have of this Michigan game. Is we get him behind, going backwards, and then he goes and gets a first down,
Yep.
And something like that. Like, this is kind of what makes me nervous.
I think, Nebraska has a tendency, as I like to say, just like letting the other team off the hook. You get them third and long, third and uncomfortable, 3rd and 9 to 3rd and 19. I feel like, everybody turns and runs the other way when they see the receivers running. That leaves a lot of open space, and a mobile quarterback like Bryce Underwood can just put a dagger in our hearts. So we have to – I don't know if we got to put a spy on him. I'm not entirely sure who that would be, who would match up athletically best with him. It's going to all come down to running the right angles to tackle. Minnie says, is Greg saying nice things about Dylan, or do my ears deceive me? No, I did. I say nice things about Dylan. Not usually about his haircut, but sometimes. And Gary Pierce says that Dylan's timing has looked a lot better, making it easy on the receiver to get yards after the catch.
I also think Dylan's had a lot of time to throw the ball. That's why one of my takeaways from the Houston Christian game and a little bit of the Akron game was he looks kind of bored, and a lot of that, and that's, I think he just, at some point his receivers are going to get open and he just wait, and he threw it, right?
I'll say, I don't know about the board. I do think that he's, I don't want to say methodical, but he's not, he celebrates, obviously, the touchdowns, but he's not riding a roller coaster. He's not riding the way or the highs or the lows. He's trying to be pretty consistent on the sidelines there. Let's see. We were talking about Bryce. Minnie had asked Les about the Michigan defensive line, and he says, if anything about Michigan D-line, they will be strong, and our linebackers may be the best in the Big Ten. One of those linebackers, of course, Ernest Hausman, he used to be here. I'm still kind of bitter about that. Let's see. Yeah, some quick run pass options and some. I like the fact that, look, if he completes 78% of his passes, and most of them are in that 7 to 15-yard range, or like you're moving the ball downfield. I don't need them all to be 60-yard, throws. Just move the ball, get first down, move the chain, score. Let's, by doing that, I think, you're going to shorten the game. We did have a 3-play possession or drive yesterday with the inclusion of one HCU penalty. But, there was like a 40-something second drive, and that's great, but that just put the defense right back out on the field. So, again, let their defense work a little bit. Go ahead.
Yeah, I think Dylan is trying to run the offense like Holgerson wants him to, and then every now and then he'll try to go make that play, which is, I have no problem with at all. Show off his arm a little bit. That touchdown to Dane Key against Akron, when they're both going to the right. I mean, that's that wow throw that he can do. But other than that, I think he's just trying to run the system, and they're scoring a lot of points doing that.
Let's see. Talking about this coming contest with Michigan, Vince Watson says, make Underwood beat you with his arm, not his legs. 100% co-sign that. And Matt K 101 says, go Big Red, cannot wait until Michigan game. May need Lateef's legs to get the W. Or Heinrich Harburg's legs. So, James says that Deshaun McCulloch was used as a spy against Brendan Sorsby. For some reason, Butler would let McCulloch rush the quarterback and Sorsby would take off. So, you'll have that, I suppose. Nate, are you going to the game?
I don't know yet, actually.
Okay.
We'll just see how the week goes. If it was a 7 p.m. game, I would be there, right?
Yeah.
but it's when you got kids and it's 2:30, it's in the middle of the day. And so, I'd probably be gone almost the whole day. Right. And I'd probably take a couple of the kids, but no, we'll see. Well, actually last night after Bud won and I sent out a tweet, I said, hey, Nebraska needs to do everything they can to get him to lead the team out against Michigan. If I heard that Bud's going to be there, I don't know, not like he did against against Colorado. I was like, hell yeah, let's go.
I can see Bud being there, honestly.
Yeah, and some people said, oh yeah, it's a done deal and all that. I'm like, well, whatever, maybe. But that'd just be cool to be there and see that.
So let's see what Drake has to say for 4-9. Looking forward to watching your Huskers this week. Nebraska has an excellent opportunity to prove its record. Best of luck against the Wolverines. Thank you, Drake. Appreciate the comments. We appreciate the $4.99, the super chat. And it is a great opportunity for me to tell you that whether or not you're planning on attending the game, you will want to be a part of the downtown Lincoln Haymarket scene on Friday night for another Coronation meetup. It's going to be at King Caterers in the Haymarket, just like it was last year, this Friday, September the 19th. Yeah, 7:30. So that is a lot of us from last year. Nate, you weren't in this picture. What's up with that?
I know. I was there. What the heck? No, I think they must have took the picture after we left, obviously.
That's all right. There are some people in this picture who aren't even on the Coronation staff. Now, that's not my place to say who's in there. That's not, but they know who they are. They're in the chat right now. So, but looking forward to, I won't be there, but I know it was a great time last year. So hopefully a lot of people can get out there again. And I know Kincaiders won't mind seeing, a bunch of, it's right. It was James Boardman. Many had already left that bar for another establishment this time around. But anyway, Kincaiders will be happy to host us once more and have a great time and a safe time in the Haymarket this Friday night ahead of the football game on Saturday. And Aaron says the flag will be there. That's all we need. With that being said, it is about time we get to our predictions. And I have an adjustment that I need to make for Haas, although he wasn't terribly specific. So originally, Haas said 30-24 Nebraska, but he texted me yesterday and says, I've got Nebraska 30-24 next week. I might change it to 31-21 or 31-17. He says, I feel like we're going to jump out to a big lead. Michigan will rally a bit, and then we'll pull away again. So he didn't ever specify. I'm going to say on his behalf, 32-17, or I'm sorry, 30-20, 30-20, Nebraska still. I said, cool, have Jake message me if Jake has any difference of opinions. Jake did not message me, so we are continuing to roll 28-21 for Jake. I have Nebraska winning this game. I put a little – Nate, tell me if I'm being unrealistic. I always trust your opinion. I've got 38-24 Nebraska.
I mean, is it realistic? Sure, yeah. I mean, so it could also be 10-13.
It could be 5-3 for all we know.
Yeah. I mean, is that real? So that margin? Would you say 38? What'd you say?
I said 38-24. Steven says 38-17.
Well, Michigan is favored by 2.5. So.
Put all my money on
give my prediction? Or
yes, what?
Am I supposed to give my prediction or no?
Yeah, you got to.
Oh, I got to? I have no idea.
Okay. I didn't warn you about that, did I?
Yeah. So you should try to think about it a little bit more, but not that it probably matters. But I feel like the game is going to be a lower scoring game, like under 20. Like,
Okay.
not total, not total, but so like if we win, I think it's going to be like, I don't know, I go back and forth on it, but part of me thinks that maybe if we win that it's going to be by over 10, but if we lose, it'll be really close type of thing, but I guess if I had to just pick a prediction right now, I'd say like Nebraska wins 20-14, something like that. So
Dave's here, and Dave here says that Michigan's given up 30 points 4 times in the last 4 years. So,
yeah, I mean, I don't know if we're going to score a lot. I think we're going to limit them a little bit, but I guess we'll
could be ambitious. Why not be ambitious? Here's the thing. All we need then is, as we say, one for the thumb. You got, 4 in the last 4 years. It's time for one right here. Hey, let's kick that up. Make that lucky number 5.
I would think that if we score 30, that we probably win pretty comfortably. I would think.
I hope so. A couple other quick predictions here. Gary Pierce is going 27-21 Huskers, and it'll come down to the last drive. I hope not. Pitt says 41-24, and James informs us that the over-under set at 44.5. Charles says 27-24. Wade says 27-23 Nebraska. And Minnie says, I think Huskers score over 20. Cheers. Nebraska T-Bone says 23-21 Nebraska wins. And Les says, no disrespect to Nebraska. I like your fan base, but NU, not OU. It's true. I mean, we're in Nebraska. They're in Oklahoma, so we're definitely not them. But I'm also not going to say, yeah, I think Michigan's going to win. It's not how I operate this show. So. Rostovsky says if we get over 30, there's a defensive touchdown in there. And it might be time. See, we've had a scoop and score. We've had a safety. It might be time for pick 6. I like where you're thinking, Aaron. James says we'll get his pick on Thursday. Husker Bob says 24-17 Huskers. So whether or not these numbers change, everybody's got a few more days to percolate on that. We'll lock them in officially Thursday night on the 5 Heart podcast. No, Minnie, you are not supposed to be writing these down. Like I said, we'll make it all official on Thursday night. But Nate, I appreciate you being here and sitting in the hot seat tonight. And do you have anything else you want to say about Nebraska's win over Houston Christian, or Nebraska Michigan, or Nebraska football writ large?
No, I'm just. This is one of those things that it really, I don't know how logical it is, but I feel like if we can beat Michigan, that shows kind of the next step that the program's taking, and that the chances of starting 10-0, I think, are actually pretty decent if we beat them, because it shows that we've made that improvement, right? Where if we lose, then I'm not saying it's going to be a dumpster fire, but just that optimistic view, I think, kind of goes out the window a little bit. I don't know, like maybe the difference in a couple games. I don't know. Every game's different.
Every game is different. That's why they show up and play them. Jackson Johnson says, tell your friends, your family, and the cashiers at Kroger. That's, I guess, a Southern thing. IV is more about the magic that Greg Haas, Minnie, and John Johnston, of course, Nate, Jake, Fred on Monday nights, everybody brings here on Coordination. So we appreciate that. That's a wonderful shout out, Jackson. And Jackson, I know that you are Voice of College Football affiliate, right? Make sure you tell people in the comments where they can find you, because you all show up and you help promote our show. So let me return the favor. So Aaron Rostovsky says if we win, the new stadium renovation gets announced in the bye week. Yeah, might as well, because everybody's going to be on riding a euphoric high, right?
Everyone's just waiting for us to take the next step, and that's what this is. It's just that opportunity.
This is it, yeah. All right, so Minnie's helping to share the good word of Jackson, Alabama Voice of College Football. Jackson says they can find me on Alabama at the Voice of College Football and on my personal channel, which looks like is probably called Jackson Johnson. So, and Nate wants to give you a hug. Pitt wants to give you a hug.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
All good. Pitt says it could be a 13-10 fist fight, which we kind of knew. And I think that'll be it for this episode of Coronation Overreaction. So thank you, Nate, once again for sitting in the chair and being my co-host tonight and my friend off the air as well. It really means a lot. So for Nate McHugh, I'm Greg Mahashko. This is the Coronation Overreaction. Minnie and Fred will have another great show for you tomorrow night, Monday Night Therapy. There's Huskers Happy Hour with Andy Ketterson. Tuesday night, Five-Heart podcast, which I think may or may not include a Five-Heart Theater on Thursday night. I don't know. I don't know if it'll be best saved for the bye week. I don't know. And then, of course, the Kincaiders meet up 7:30 on Friday. It's a busy week for Coronation and for all of you, so we appreciate all the time you spend with us, both here in YouTube, Facebook, and X, and IRL, as the kids would say. So that is it. We'll see you next time. Coronations, YouTube, Facebook, and X. Go Big Red, Nate.
Beat Michigan.
Yeah. Well played.